This will be another two-part video. This I'm just breaking it apart. There has been quite a bit of slop and play in the mount for the saw bar or the tensioning section so I'm gonna look at that, and the spoiler, I've decided to buy new parts. I was looking at doing some welding or something, but I think that's not gonna cut it and get a good result. I don't have the proper tools to really make a good finish out of that, and not the welding skill either, so I'm gonna buy new parts. Taking off some covers, removing a lot of built up debris, needles and stuff. There is another cover plate here. I've noticed it's easier to remove as much as possible to get access to cleaning, and compressed air helps out. So started to take some hydraulic hoses off. I realized this hose here just makes a loop around and will follow the hydraulic motor out, so refitted that hose and just undid the pipes and one more hose at the bottom that feeds up to the machine. So it's just these two big pipes. One of them for some reason kind of didn't want to really unscrew super easily, but then two bolts holding the motor itself. There is kind of a metal cover on there also, so a few things to consider. But I've had this out before. If you followed me, I redid the bearings here on the chain drive itself. Now with the motor removed, I had to have pliers to hold it still to remove the sprocket for the chain drive and so on. I missed removing a few bits and pieces here. I think that's covered in my other video. There is like a drive pin here in the shaft that locks the sprocket into place that needed to be tapped out. And then the shaft itself could be removed. All of this could have been done after it was removed from the machine. You will see why later, but I didn't know that this at the time. Looking a little at the parts diagram, discussing with my dad the options, bringing it out as one unit or having to break it into pieces where it sits, and bring it out as one unit is a whole lot easier, and I was hoping that would be the case. It was, but a few sensors needed to be removed. The connectors were quite on there, but it's kind of made for tools to undo the locking of the connectors, and it's two sensors down here, and one is just threaded in place and the other is kind of pushed in place and held in by a little plate, and that one was really stuck in there. I had to start kind of putting a little force to push it out, and made a little dent on the end of it. I hope I haven't damaged anything, because it's probably expensive. Remove the bolt. That's also the pin that connects the cylinder that kind of operates the saw bar going in and out. Also tried, here I ran into some issues, tried to remove the hydraulic hoses here. That caused trouble. And at the top here, my dad wanted to remove the cover, and the shackle holding things in place failed. So we had issues in two places here. This here coupling just refused to let go and was taking quite a lot of effort. If it's been cross-threaded at some point or something, had to cut the wrench short to get it to have access. Luckily it was not that hard once it was first loosened. Upper pin for the hydraulic cylinder, and the entire cylinder could come out. I wanted it out because the lower one of the bearings at the end had quite a bit of play. The hose for lubing it had been broken and probably been for a long time, so That one is getting replaced. I've also found another one of these like lubrication hoses for internal parts in the harvester head that's also broken. That's why I wanted the big cover of the machine to be able to figure out exactly which one that is. So now everything is loose for this saw bar holder assembly, and removed the 8 bolts holding it in place. They are also getting replaced, found some of those broken earlier. So the heavy little lump could be taken out of the harvester head and put on a bench. Some more cleanup. Here is the saw bar clamp, and you saw the play that I have issues with in the beginning of the video also, but here it comes again. The wear plates that were replaced a while back have taken a beating also from the play. They were removed, so it felt a little tighter when these were new, because they kind of tightened things up and masked the wear that's actually on the base unit itself. So removed some plug, and on the other side there is kind of a valve in here. I'm not entirely sure what this valve is for, and there is a spring and a valve body and a seal, but there is also one more part on the parts diagram, but I'm missing a page that says what things are. I wonder if there is a seat for this that's kind of pressed into the body of it. If you do know, please leave a comment and let me know. I will ask the dealer, if not, what that missing piece on the parts diagram actually is. I might need to replace that also. Then on the back side it's been an upgrade. I think when this was new it had some positioning system to the machine to know where the saw bar was located with some tiny little belt drive. Now it's this sprocket bolted to the back of the unit here with 3 bolts that refuse to come undone, and a sensor that senses each cog and can position it that way. And it's countersunk small Allen heads, and only issues. Luckily I found that a suitable sized torque spit is the best one. 2 of them kind of moved a tiny bit and then got stuck, and the third one felt like it was not gonna budge whatsoever, so I right away decided to kind of try and tap the plate it holds in place, so that would start to kind of spin together with the bolt and help loosening the first little bit, and was able to move it as far as it was possible when I got help from my dad and had 2 extra hands, and it started coming undone and made it all the way out, even just using the Allen head. Didn't even have to resort to the torques. Then the sprocket can be removed. I do mark a few of the things. We'll try to reassemble the way it was sitting. So far the disassembly is going quite well. Removed some debris that's made it all the way into the bolts holding the inner and outer part together. Just hammering on the tool did not do it, so over to the vise and long breaker bar, and it came undone quite easily. I think I'll look at replacing these 5 bolts. Then some tapping to split the 2 pieces and get them out of the bearing holder, the kind of body of the saw bar assembly. The inner part came out first, and then it took quite a bit more tapping to get the outer part off, but not too bad. It started moving right away. I just did gentle taps. And then the piston that actually tensions the saw chain did not really want to come out. I was not too worried about scratching it because I think this will be replaced also. It's quite hammered on the end, and it had kind of an angled surface that is supposed to put a kind of a clamping force on the saw bars itself. So, and I don't think that's been functioning as intended. So if you follow my previous videos, I did a kind of a spacer plate, and that probably made even less material to material contact, and maybe increase the rate of wear on already very worn items. But the one bearing for these were also replaced earlier in the previous video where they started failing. They are the bearings for the drive shaft for the saw chain itself. There are some lock rings and seals and stuff here, so but I plan on reusing these, so I take care and gently tapping them out. That's it for now. Time to order some expensive parts. More on assembly later.